Welcome to Blooming Dandelion, where we explore healing, growing, and evolving to live a balanced and fulfilling life. I'm your host, Andrea Rivera Cazul, and each week we'll dive into practical tips, inspiring stories, and expert advice to help you bloom. Let's get started. Hello, Dandelion. We are back, and it's been some time, and it's okay to take a break, okay? And I'm telling that to myself, but I'm telling that to you in case you needed to hear it. But we're back from a long, winding road of a break. But it was needed. It was definitely needed. We're going to start off with our bloom and soil, okay? We're going to get back to the basics. Bloom and soil. Because a lot has happened in the last couple of months. Weeks. Maybe not months. Yeah, a couple months. I would say that my bloom has been being around family again. Being around family, being around loved ones, being around my nephew, just seeing milestones that I was so far away from and almost felt detached from has been a blessing, has been just truly grounding and lovely. It's been lovely and it's fueling my soul. Besides that, obviously being able to make friendships and make friends and meet new people has been really exciting as well. My soil is that I am coming to terms that it's a constant reminder, right? I have come to terms that we need to constantly remind ourselves that healing is not an end point. I know, catch it. Clock it. Healing is not the end point. There's so much more healing to be done after you've already healed. The goalpost keeps moving, and that can seem exhausting or daunting, but if you look at it at the space of where you started, from where you're at and where you're going, there's so much growth that I have seen within myself, and I know that for others it might feel that same way. So that's my bloom and soil. There's so much more that I could add on to it or anything, but I'm not going to. Okay, I'm not going to, because I want to just talk about this topic of transition and this topic of moving on and listening to your gut, but also, listening to your mirrors, which I call your friends, my friends, right? Mirrors are people that really are just like us and will show us in the reflection truly what's going on. And I think for the past, I don't even know how many months, years, there was a part of me that was almost so burnt out and exhausted from making things work with maybe someone that just wasn't ready to make things work. And I don't wish anyone ill will ever, no matter how someone has hurt me or anything. I just, I want to forgive and move on. And so I think the last couple of months have hurt a lot in the sense of you almost feel like a failure when another relationship ends, when another relationship comes to its end point, when you feel like you've tried everything in your toolkit and you're just stuck. You just feel like, what do I do now? I've invested so much time. I've invested these amount of years with this person. I felt this in my marriage when I had to really sit down and think, am I just going to stay in this for the rest of my life? And this is just going to be the pattern of repetition every single day? And there comes a point that when you start talking to your friends, family members, and all that stuff about the things that are going on, they're going to start questioning, why is it that you're staying? Why is it that you're allowing this? Why is it that, we don't see the same spark in you as you started? And I think it's interesting, right? Because we transition so much in life, we grow so much in life, we learn new things, we meet new people, and those people can influence the people that we are because we unlearn certain other things. And when your friends and family members see that in some case you're losing that spark that made you you, that's when you really kind of tune in to what's going on. I think making the choice to either end friendships, end relationships, end anything that's not serving you is always really, really hard. I don't take that lightly. I don't think that any person just goes around wanting to end relationships and friendships and all that stuff and not feel any remorse, guilt, or anything like that. I think that's completely natural. It's how you work through those emotions that really will help you in the long run. I can say this. I have amazing friends, and I've said that, oh my goodness, in possibly any podcast episode that I've talked about friendships and people seeing you for who you really are and everything like that. And truly, honestly, my friends are my ride or dies. And my friends really have held me up when I needed it, held me down when I needed it, pushed me out the way when they needed to intervene. No, but they truly are just amazing people that have helped me see where it is that I want to go in life. This transition wasn't easy. This decision to choose myself was not easy. But in the long run, I know it'll be the best decision for myself. And I think that's the beautiful part of this, that through the guilt, through any emotions or difficulty in deciding what it is that, in the long run might serve you, you have to choose yourself. I am right now maybe struggling financially, maybe doing this, maybe doing that. But if I'm choosing myself, I'm so much more at peace than me having to struggle through the day on taking care of someone else that isn't showing up 100%, that may be doing this, that may be doing that. And that narrative might be driving you crazy. But showing up for yourself is the best gift that you can do for yourself. When I was in college and I met my then boyfriend, then husband, now ex-husband, I felt that I deserved the little bit of love that they had to show for me. I felt that no one else would love me the way that I was, which I had gained weight. I was very much erratic, like in the sense of like, I didn't know my emotions, I didn't know where I was at, all that stuff. And in the craziness of being a young adult, I felt like he was the best that could offer me anything. And lo and behold, we know that wasn't the case. And I think that a lot of us women, a lot of us folks just get into relationships because we think that is what we deserve, that is the love that is meant for us. And it shouldn't be that way. It should be that we really find what it is that we want in a person, in our partner, and stick to those boundaries. Because until you really get to know someone for who they are, for how they show up, you don't know what's going to happen in the hard times, in the good times. We don't know what's going to happen when things are at its toughest point. And I think now that I'm going to be 32, I know, 32. Now that I'm going to be 32, I look back and reminisce and think about all the things that have happened within my 20s, within the past 5 years when I moved to Boston, within the past 2 years when I lived in an apartment for the first time on my own, in a sense. It's hard. It's hard to think back and see that you've grown, but I see growth. I see growth, and I realize and acknowledge that every transition that I have chosen myself in has made me grow as a person. As a person that will be in a relationship for next time, with my friendships, with family members, I am standing tall and proud of the person that I've become and am becoming. And I think that is why it is so important to choose ourselves, to choose you first, because no one can take away that choice that you've made. And that guilt of choosing yourself over someone else's feelings, over the feelings of, anyone that you might feel like will coerce you into feeling bad about that decision you made or anything, any guilt that comes tied to that is unhealthy. If you do not have people in your corner that know what has happened and can say, you're doing the right thing and I support you, and I know this will be tough, but let me know how I can show up for you, they are not true friends. Transitions are scary. Transitions are daunting. Transitions are not easy. They're not. But I promise that the more that you choose yourself, the more that you align yourself in what it is that you would like to see in your future, the more happiness and peace comes into your life. I started going to therapy in December when things were just really tough for me, and I realized that when my sister was talking to me, she told me, she was like, I think, this is going to be a big transition in life, and I don't want it to trigger you in any way. And I agreed with her. I said, it's been a while, and I want to get back to therapy. And I've been going to my therapist now since December, and there's so many realizations that have come up in therapy. And oh my God, I hate that I get emotional at these moments, but it's okay to feel emotional. Don't suppress it. But I think that a lot of the feelings that have come up have been just like, I've felt so misunderstood for so long, and I kept on feeling like patterns were repeating themselves. And the patterns were essentially of control. That's what she told me. She was like, I'm hearing all of this line of control in all of the relationships or talking patterns that you've had. And I had to really dig deep on like, where the hell was that coming from? And I don't think that right now I have an answer. And I think that's okay. I think it's okay to keep unraveling with a confidant, someone who is not in my life and doesn't know, who these people are, but can tell me like, hey, it sounds like this, it sounds like that. Just be aware. Being that self-aware and knowing that you also have faults, right? I'm never one to say it's all their fault. Nothing that I've done. I can take up accountability and really understand the level that I play, or the chess piece that I play in this game. And I hate calling it a game because life isn't a game, but here we are. But I think being honest with yourselves and putting your guards down and knowing that it's okay to say, damn, like there's been an underlying thing that has been affecting my whole trajectory of relationships, and now I need to figure out what it is that I gotta do. It's put a lot of things in practice and in motion for me. It's made me realize a lot of things, and I think that if you go to therapy and you have a therapist and you talk about the things that have affected you in your life, I think you will see that there is a difference, that there's something that you can do that's tangible, and you have control over your own life, and others don't need to control it, and others don't need to come in and save us, that we can save ourselves. Here's, I think, the biggest, how do I put it? I think the biggest lesson that I have learned since leaving, since choosing myself, and deciding to move all the way back to Puerto Rico, I think the biggest lesson is that I am so resilient, and that I think about the comments that friends make about how proud they are of the choices I've made, how they look up to choices I've made, how they just don't know how I've come this far, because so many obstacles have gotten in my way and have tried and tried to put me down and stop me. So if there's anything that you can take away from, I guess, this testimony, this chat about transitions in life and showing up for yourself and choosing you, I hope that when you see me and hear the other episodes of the podcast, that you are intently thinking about, how can I show up for myself? That you can see someone that has gone through hell and back and can say, I have survived my hardest days. I have survived my lowest days. And still I am here. And still I rise, and still I will keep pushing and fighting for myself. There is nothing wrong with you being your own priority. There is nothing wrong to evaluate things in a relationship and friendships and say, this no longer serves me. It seems like we have gone down two different paths and we are no longer aligned. I want you to know that you are worthy of choosing. I want you to know that you are worthy of having respect shown to you, of the bare minimum being just the bare minimum, that you exceed that bare minimum, that you deserve more than the bare minimum, that you do not need to commit to anyone if they are not showing you more than the bare minimum. The bar should not be on the floor. That's all I have to say. So if there's anything that you needed to hear from this, I hope that is that you deserve more than you think you do. And I think you are the strongest person for choosing yourself. I love you so much. Thanks for tuning in to Blooming Dandelion. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Follow us on social media on Instagram at Blooming Dandelion Podcast for more inspiration. And remember to keep on blooming. See you next time, dandelions.